Hey, it's Andrew Huang! Today I am recording a whole bunch of guitar. Let's bring it back over to the studio. I thought I would talk today about the assembly line. I think there's a misconception about music creation that every moment is somehow inspired. And that's really not true. It's definitely one of those 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration things that I believe it was Rob Thomas who said that. The assembly line, also invented by Rob Thomas, was first applied in car manufacturing where things would move down the line and every employee would have only one specific part of building a car that they were working on. And of course that makes efficiency go like this. And I apply something sort of like that in my music creation process, where I break things down into the steps that need to be taken until a song is completed. And then sometimes, like today, I will spend an entire afternoon working on the same step in multiple different projects. I've got this album I've been working on for far too long, but let me show you my file naming system. These are all the tracks I'm still working on, and you can see before each title I have some letters with commas after them. G means guitar, LY means lyrics, V means vocals, and I have others that I might use depending on what I need to do still, you know, keys, bass, whatever. And this just helps me keep track of what needs to be done, or what I know needs to be done, because there's still room at any point for creativity to creep in, inspiration to creep in. Maybe I'll add a dog barking, maybe I'll add a kazoo. But when I've already made a note right in the file name of what needs to be done next, it makes it so much easier for me to jump back into that project. The reason for the commas is if I'm using Spotlight Search and I just put G in, it'll come up with all kinds of results. But once I throw down that comma, it brings up everything that I need to play guitar on. And so on a day like today, I am swooping in there to write and record guitar parts on 7 different tracks. So on my setup, you know, plugging in, getting levels, tuning up, warming up, I'm saving a bit of time because I'm doing it once for 7 tracks rather than 7 times if I were working on these songs individually. But I think an equally important part of this is the removal of the mental barrier of needing to do all these boring things before you can get to the fun part. I'm set up for my first song, which means I'm set up for any number of songs I want to do after that. So I'm always thinking about how much further I can optimize conditions for my work. I heard somewhere that something as simple as keeping an instrument on a stand rather than in a case exponentially increased how much musicians practice. Because you don't have to think nearly as hard about practicing if your instrument's just sitting out there ready to go. It takes basically 0 effort to just pick it up. For reals now though, guitar time. I want to start with a track that has shown up on my channel before in that video where I made a bunch of weird melodies and sampled my chair and flew to playlist. I wasn't quite able to finish that track because I had misplaced something, which I have now found, my tremolo arm. Okay, cool, and we're moving on. That's the other thing too about this method. I'm just playing guitar today. Anything to do with picking takes or editing or dialing in my tone, that can all come later when I'm sitting down in front of the computer. This is guitar time. Just you and me, baby. This next track gets into some crazy acid towards the end. But in the first half, it's much more chill, and I think I want to learn the synth part here and double it with a guitar. I'm trying to come up with a part right now, but it's eluding me. So I'm gonna make a MIDI instrument and draw notes in until I've found something that I like and then learn that on guitar. It's interesting because this usually happens the other way around. I'm on my computer and I'm trying to make a melody, and it's really unnatural to come up with melodies by clicking a mouse. So I pick up an instrument, play around for a bit, and come up with something much more easily. In this case, I think what was going on is that I don't know what chords are in this song. I still don't really know. So while trying to figure out what to play, I was also trying to decipher this harmonic information in my head, and then I'd come up with something for one bar, but forget what I had done in the previous bar. Anyway, whatever works. It's just good to know different options for approaches I can take to creating this stuff. And now we learn it on guitar. think I might actually tweak that MIDI sound and leave it in as an extra layer. That's another little tip, is to double stuff with a synthesizer. A bunch of my tracks, if you think you're just hearing a piano, it's actually a piano and a synthesizer. Or a guitar is actually a guitar and a synthesizer. Sometimes a synthesizer is a synthesizer with some other synthesizer. And speaking of different approaches, this next part I just came up with by singing. I want to do something that's a little like well, team, hope you enjoyed that. Hope it was helpful to you. Hope it won't be too long before I release this music for reals. If you're not subscribed here yet, do the subscribing.